Hi everyone, it's Angela from Cake Angel and welcome to another bake along video tutorial. For today's video, I'm going to show you how to make some easy dairy-free banana cupcakes. And if you're like us, you always have bananas hanging around the house, so this is a great recipe to try if you want a variation on banana bread. So let's take a look at our ingredients. We have 120 grams of cake and pastry flour, 90 grams of sugar, and I'm using brown sugar for that nice caramelly taste, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 50 grams of vegan butter, 65 grams of almond milk, 1 egg and 2 bananas. So let's get going. And as you can see, we like to leave our bananas go really brown whenever we're using them in baking, so we get that really nice sweetness to them. First thing I'm going to do is take one and we're going to mash it up in our bowl. The second one we're actually going to use for a topping for our cupcakes, so I'll show you that later on. And I'm just going to mash this up with a fork. You could do this with your mixer if you're using a mixer. So I'm going to leave it fairly chunky. I like to do that when I'm making cupcakes, so there's lots of nice bits of banana in there. The next thing we're going to do is add in our butter. So to make this a dairy-free recipe, I'm going to be using a vegan butter. This is vegan basil. I'm using an unsalted one as well because I'll actually be adding salt to my recipe. But if you have salted, you could just use that and omit the salt later on in our recipe. And I'm going to be using a hand mixer for this today instead of a stand mixer. If you do have a stand mixer, you mix it in exactly the same way. And you just want to do that until it's nice and incorporated. You don't really need to over mix this at all. We just want to try and break up those pieces of butter. Now the butter is at room temperature, so that's going to break up nice and easily for you. And give it a really good mix, and that's fine. Next thing we're going to do is add in our brown sugar, and I really like the caramelly molasses taste that gives to the banana cupcakes. You could use white if you don't have brown sugar. I'm going to add my almond milk to it as well, and again, if you're not dairy free, you can just use a regular milk for that. And we're going to crack in our 1 egg as well. And let's give that another mix to combine. And you can see all those nice chunks of banana in there, which is going to be really great for the texture of our cupcakes. Okay, that's perfect. Next thing we're going to do is start to add our dry ingredients. So we're adding our cake and pastry flour, our baking powder and our salt. And then we're going to go ahead and just mix these to combine as well. And this mixture comes together really quickly. It is quite a loose batter, and we're using the cake and pastry flour because that'll give us a nice light and airy crumb. So we're done with our mixer. Let's pop that to one side. Now my oven is already preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you do that before you start mixing because this mix does come together really well. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the batter to our cupcake cases. Now this recipe usually makes about 9 cupcakes. You can easily double it as well just by multiplying all of the ingredients by 2. I'm going to use an ice cream scoop for this, and this is a great technique to make sure that you have the same amount of batter in each of your cupcakes. And now we're just going to go ahead and fill them all up. And I'll pop a link in the description for you for one of these scoops. It really is such a useful tool, so there's no guesswork involved at all when you're measuring out your cupcakes, and it always makes sure you get the same amount every time as well. And these smell so good, I wish you could smell them. I find that brown sugar makes a huge difference to these cupcakes and just elevates the flavour so much too. Let's scrape down the bowl and get those last bits into our last cupcake. Perfect, so I'm just going to wipe up all those little drips that we have on the sides of the cases. And the next thing I'm going to do is add the topping to our cupcakes. So I'm going to take my second banana, I'm just going to cut slices and then add one to each of the cupcakes. And you just want to lightly place them on top, you don't need to press them in. And lots of other variations that you could do with these cupcakes as well. You could add chocolate chips, you could add nuts to them. The last thing I'm going to do though is get some brown sugar and sprinkle some on top. I really like the texture that this creates on cupcakes. It gives it a nice caramelly, crunchy texture and goes really well with the banana. So there's our cupcakes done. I'm just going to give it a wrap on the counter a couple of times. That's to help actually move any bubbles that are in the mix. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop them in our oven. Okay, and they're done. Let's take a look. You can see how nice and brown and caramelly they look, and they smell so good too. And let's have a close-up look at them. Now these are straight out of the oven, so they are a little bit hot here when I'm doing this. I recommend that you actually let them sit for about 5 minutes before you pull them out of the tray, just to let them cool down so they're easier to handle. And there you go, there's our dairy-free banana cupcakes. Hope you've enjoyed this bake along. Don't forget to check out the other videos on my channel. Hope you'll hit that like button too, and of course don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again on our next video. Thanks for watching.